Alright, kids, heroes, all the above, ladies, gentlemen, unicorns. Today I was going to review some classic books that I enjoy, that I grew up with, and that I think are just pillars of good comic literature. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, this is Cody from ComicsDown, and these are some of my favorite books. First off, we're going to start with Deathstroke, the Terminator, #1. The reason I love this book so much is from the very beginning, it's action-packed. It lays out the story very well. It starts off with kind of a heist, or actually not a heist, but an assassination. And you see this cloaked, masked figure attacking a train. He's in a little tiny helicopter with missiles, and there's 2 other helicopters pursuing. He takes a couple of them out, flawlessly executing his plan. He gets to his intended target, which ends up being Adeline, which is Slade Wilson's ex-wife. Or they might still be together, but I think in this part they might still be together, but they're separated. He gut shots her and throws her overboard, and then destroys the train, getting on his little helicopter and escaping. And then you see a panel of Adeline's, she's about half dead, and she's like, "Slade, where's my Slade?" From there it shoots to Africa, and it's Wintergreen's commentary, which is Slade's best friend and business partner, and he's talking about Slade Wilson and how, talking about basically how he's so driven and how he's such a good soldier, and how he searches out danger. He's an adrenaline junkie, basically. And it shows him taking down a bull elephant. And it's a very clean kill. Later on, he gets the news that Adeline was, attacked and shot. So he makes preparations to leave Africa and go to her. And while they were packing up and leaving, the same little helicopter with missiles and masked assailant attacks him, blowing up their car, their house, and everything, and telling him, basically just playing with him, and it's setting up, a cat and mouse game here. There's a little banter, Wintergreen, talking about, "Oh, we're gonna have to walk 30 miles to the thing," and Slade's like, "Well, what's your point?" And both their egos are a bit hurt because they couldn't take down that guy. There it goes to the hospital, and Slade, talking to the doctors, and Adeline's not doing too well. And then it goes to a flashback scene, and basically shows how Adeline and Slade met. And this was, the Vietnam era. Slade was the top of his class. He was the best soldier, that, special ops soldier that there was. And she was just as good, but, so they ended up hitting it off. They got married and had some kids. And then it goes back to the hospital. And she's like, so glad to see him. From there, Slade's got to figure out who it is that attacked her, and his blood's boiling. It goes back to another flashback scene of Wintergreen being involved with, Slade's super soldier program, and how he became the Terminator. And they gave him a super soldier serum, and the only side effects is that he would get angry very easily, like most roid ragers. But eventually, and they thought he was a failure as a subject, so they discharged him. But Wintergreen actually knew the truth, that it was actually a success. And Slade went on to become one of the most feared assassins in all, the Marvel or DC universe. It has a small flashback to when his son Ravager took on the Teen Titans and died from the same super soldier serum that he had taken when he was, to become the Terminator. Well, it was too hard on Ravager's heart, and he died. And then it kind of goes to he's going around asking questions, dressed up as Deathstroke. He's asking questions to some of the spies and bad guys, and who would want him dead. And he's trying to figure out who's hunting him down and who wants to hurt his family. See, at this point, Slade thinks his son's dead. And he keeps searching and searching. He goes from one spot to the next. Towards the end of the book, they kind of go back to this, you see the little helicopter, it lands in this underground base. What government is that? Iraq. I guess it's supposed to be Iraq or something, but they call it Iraq. And the generals and everybody are talking to the masked subject, and he goes and starts changing out in the locker room, and you see that classic chainmail mask that of the Ravager. And this is setting up that Deathstroke and the Terminator, or the Terminator, Deathstroke, and the Ravager are on a collision course, and they're gonna battle. But this was a very high octane, kind of Mission Impossible, spy works and stuff like that, kind of comic. I like the mixture of everything. You got mercenaries, you got good family drama, and it's extremely well written. I like the point that it kind of, you see it through Wintergreen's eyes, so it's not Deathstroke talking to himself, but it's like, Wintergreen kind of giving the story and telling everyone what's happened and what's happening. But like I said, I've always loved this comic. I had it a long time ago when it actually, it first come out and everything. But yeah, I love that comic a lot. I just now recently reacquired it not too long ago. Next up is another classic, and that is X-Men #1. And this is my favorite cover out of all of the 4 different covers that they had at the time. Is the Magneto cover. I just love Jim Lee's portrayal of Magneto here. And, he looks so dominant and superior. And basically, the very start of this book, it's in outer space, and these mutants are being chased down. They'd stolen a space shuttle, and they're being chased down by another special government mutant squad, and they're trying to find Asteroid M, which is Magneto's home. And it's being, Asteroid M is just kind of being kept in orbit, in Earth's orbit, by the power of Magneto. But and then it has, you see this beautiful splash page, Magneto just taking control. Everything metal is his to control. And all the astronauts are like, oh God, no. And they think they're going to be killed. And, he shows them mercy. Because, at this point in his life, he's just wanting to be left alone. He's had enough of the X-Men. He's had enough of the evil, Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. He just wants to be, live in seclusion and live on an asteroid and just exist, basically. Goes from there, to some banter at the White House between Nick Fury and the president. Sorry, this is my list for the dang comic book shop later. He kind of goes over, how Magneto was, studied, and how dangerous he is, and it's, dangerous to leave him out there. They go to another beautiful page and kind of shows you who's on the team at this point. We got Cyclops, Rogue, Iceman, Colossus, Archangel, Forge, Beast, and Storm in this control room here, and they're playing a training game where they're trying to protect the professor, and so you have a few different teams trying to engage the school to get to the professor. And you got Rogue and Iceman and Archangel and Colossus. And then you have the professor being protected by Jean Grey. And it shows, the rockets going off. It's a very well protected school. They have, air-to-ground missiles popping up out of the grass and whatnot. They use Colossus as a wrecking ball, but he gets taken down by Jean Grey through her psychic attack. And then it shows old Wolverine, Gambit, and my favorite Psylocke. And they're in the sewer, trying to sneak up, from underneath. And they're set upon by some robots, and they quickly dispatch them. Gambit gets up there to where Jean and the professor are, to find out that it was just a ruse, and they were both robots, or life model decoys. He tries to kiss Jean Grey, and she ends up exploding in his hands. And then it shoots to a scene where Jean Grey and the professor are in the control room with Cyclops and Beast. And then out of nowhere, you see Wolverine's claws shrink, bust through the floor, and he's all, tattered and battle worn from fighting the robots in the sewer. And he points his hand at Professor, and shrink, sends his claws out to almost, just kind of barely touch his nose. And Cyclops is like, oh, Wolverine, you didn't have to do that. This is, because it's Cyclops, and he's got to stick up his ass half the time. And then it goes back to some, clever team banter. You got Gambit hitting on Rogue, of course, because this was the, right as, like, the TV show was taking off, so they were kind of do it similar to the TV show. You got Cyclops being all, holding Jean and, pissing off Wolverine, he's such a hothead, yada, yada, yada. And somebody comes over the comms, and it's Nick Fury, and he's telling the team that Magneto's out of control and that he needs to be brought in or whatnot. And they don't really know what to do because he's so powerful. From there, it goes to a beautiful splash page of everyone out by the pool and just relaxing or whatnot from after doing all that training. I've always loved this picture. Oh, what a prick! Sorry, guys. I left my workshop bay door open here. Yeah. Fuck. But like I was saying, I've always loved this page. Mainly, you got Psylocke sunbathing, you got fucking, and you just it's all 90s glory. You got all these different people, and fucking, of course, Cyclops got the volleyball. You got Iceman freezing the pool over while Beast is trying to jump in and have a good time. You got Forge hitting on some ladies. You got Jubilee and Colossus kind of jacking around and doing the tough guy poses and stuff. And it says "Wish You Were Here" right at the very bottom. It's a very classic Jim Lee picture. Oh yeah, and forgot you got Rogue right here in the middle. Ugh. Rogue and Psylocke got to be the hottest X-Men. Well, I mean, and you got Jean Grey, and Jean Grey, but she's a little too perfect. I like my ladies a little damaged. Maybe it's because I'm a little damaged, but I've always loved me some that Southern Belle accent that Rogue has. And from there it goes back to Asteroid M, and Magneto's taking control. He kills one of the astronauts because he kills one of the mutant people that were trying to flee to Magneto, and they all they see his power. So even the astronauts that were after the other mutants, they even pledge their power to Magneto, and out of nowhere they get the X-Men get an alarm, and apparently Magneto's entered Earth's orbit. So they've set off to the Blackbird, and they're underway. And Magneto, not too long ago, apparently had sunk a nuclear sub, and he went back to the underwater. He made some kind of ball and went into under the sea, and he got the nuclear missiles out of the dang sunken sub that he had destroyed, and he was taking the missiles as a precaution because he feels that the governments of the world are going to try to take him out. And he gets confronted by the X-Men, and they start to talk and whatnot. And out of nowhere, Cyclops tries to attack him from behind, fly in with the jet, and and you can see just Magneto's just raw power. He stops the plane in midair, Cyclops doesn't know what to do. Beast and Gambit jump out, and he easily incapacitates the two. He's the only people that actually hit him is Psylocke and Wolverine. And then Cyclops hits him with a blast, but for the life of him, Magneto's like, I was trying to talk. I have no reason. I don't know why you guys are attacking me. I was trying to talk to you, and they're like, well, you're a nut job with a bunch of missiles and whatnot, and by the end of it, Rogue flies. Magneto takes off and with the missiles, and he's trying to go back to Asteroid M, and before he gets out of the atmosphere, Rogue flies up and is trying to talk to him, talk some sense to him, and out of nowhere, a fighter jet shoots a missile and takes Rogue down. Of course, it doesn't really hurt her or nothing, but she takes a missile blast to the back, and she falls. And then you see Magneto brooding when he gets back to the thing, and he's talking to his men. Yes, I've been I've been hurt, by Wolverine, and he doesn't know what to do. He's very conflicted, and the people that pledge their loyalty to him, one has healing abilities, so he's trying to help Magneto out through healing him, and it goes from there. You see Rogue wake up, and she's in a military hospital, and she's very scared and frightened because she knows the place to be a mutant prison also. The military come to and ask her, we need help from your team. We're under attack by these mutants, and we don't know what to do. So, and these were the mutants that pledged their loyalty to Magneto. And so the X-Men are on their way, and they go to attack them. And you have some cool panels here with Wolverine and fastball special here with Beast throwing Wolverine, Psylocke taking being a ninja and taking one of the flying guys out. And then out of nowhere, Magneto, boom, shows up, and he says, "These people are under my protection. These orders were under my say or whatnot." And Magneto, he's off the sidelines again. He's like, "I'm done with it. We're gonna take this world by force." And the next issue is called Firestorm. But like I said, this was some of I love this stuff because of this particular issue. It laid it out really well about it introduced you to Magneto, to the X-Men very well, and it leaves you on a cliffhanger. What's gonna happen next, and it makes you want to read more. It makes you want to go out and go out and get the next issue, because this was great writing. And I wish, I am not the same, when it comes to, the old Uncanny X-Men, the old Claremont run, and, this year I was very passionate about these X-Men comics. But I'm not that way anymore because, god dang, they have so many different books. What they got? X-Men Red, X-Men Blue, X-Men Gold, Astonishing X-Men. There's that new X-Men, kind of, it's supposed to be drawn kind of like older X-Men books, like you got the Wolverine, you got Weapon X, you got Cable X or whatnot. I mean, you just got all these different so many different stories. People don't even know what to do anymore, as far as like being introduced to these characters, and and where to start. I mean, goddamn, hey, you need one really good X-Men book, and that is, maybe two at the most. But having up to, 8 or 10, it's kind of crazy. And I know you want to show, what's going on here and there, but if it's good writing, you can incorporate all of that stuff and put it into them 2 to 3 books, tops. Next up, I have DC book, and this is a reprint, of course. I'm not going to take my original out and, go through it like this, but I do have the 45 and 46 of the, of the junky issues. And the ones that I have are kind of low grade and, very fragile, so I don't really take them out that often. But this book's a twofer. It actually has a, number 84, and then this says number 5, but I know that's not the 5th issue. But I wanted to go over the Snowbirds Don't Fly story. Always liked it, something that was kind of, as an ex-addict myself, I was glad that they can, that back then they kind of touched on subjects as tough as heroin addiction is. And it starts off, and there's, some hoods waiting in an alley, and they see Ollie walking down the street. And they jump out and they rob him, and they kind of beat him up, and out of nowhere you see this one guy, and he's got a crossbow, and he's like, what the hell? And he gets shot by a crossbow. He's like, ugh. And he's on a kind of rougher side of town, and nobody will help him. He reaches for a cop asking for help, and the cop just walks on down the road. A pimp and a hooker walk by, and they're like, don't get involved, just keep on walking. Finally, he stumbles and gets a cab called down, and he gets taken to a hospital emergency room, and he's like, I need help, and they're like, well, you're gonna have to wait in line, and he just falls on the counter and knocks everything over. He's got an arrow in his chest. It goes from there, and from him talking to the doctor, and Doc's telling him how lucky he is, that he's alive, and that it chipped a bone in his shoulder. And he asks to see the arrow that he was shot with, and he's off to the races. And he calls up old Hal Jordan, and he's like, man, I'm injured. I need your help on this. I need you to help me track these guys down. From there, it goes to a very desperate looking scene of this boy beating on a drug dealer's door because he's so dope sick. He's basically telling him, I'll do anything for his next fix. And to be honest with you, I know how that feels. I never, degraded myself and did anything really bad, but I stole at points, and I did things to my family and to others that I wasn't proud of. I was very sad inside. My addiction had taken over completely, and I didn't know what to do. Finally, eventually I did find help, though. And this is actually some of the stuff that actually helped me. Was finding something that I could go out and hold on to. And to me, that was my comic books. But it shows, how empathetic how unempathetic the drug dealer is. He kicks the junkie in the face and says, don't come back unless you got some money. And right at that point, Green Arrow and Green Lantern are walking down the hall, and they see this happening, and they bust in through the dope dealer's door, and they're like, hey, and the dope dealer, of course, is a dumbass and tries to take them on. He picks up an axe and tries to swing it. Green Lantern melts his axe in his hand, and Ollie's like, alright, let's get out of here. And you see the junkie on the floor, and he's crying and begging. He's like, I need a fix so bad. And it's quite sad. It goes back, and then it goes to the guys that robbed Ollie in the originally, and it shows them at this rich person's house, and there's all these weapons on the wall, primordial, ancient war weapons like axes and swords and crossbows and bows and arrows, and medieval weapons, I would say. And you got one of the guys in the back over, you can't quite see his face, and there's talking back and forth, and they're talking about why they use and why they get high. One guy, he does it because he's black, which is basically what it says in the book. He's like, I can't stand the racism and being called the N-word. So he started shooting dope. And the Asian guy is talking about, how his dad, collects these weapons, and he likes to come home and look at them, and imagine killing his boss with them, apparently. And out of nowhere, Green Arrow and Green Lantern track them down, and they burn a hole through the roof and just kind of lower themselves in. And the two junkies think it's the narco squad, and they try to run away, and of course Green Lantern stops them, throws some power bubbles around their arms and legs so they can't do nothing. And from the corner of the room, old Speedy says, "Oh, hey, what's up, Ollie? Yeah, I'm here. I infiltrated this drug gang." Oh, and Green Arrow's like, "Of course you did. That's where you've been," because apparently Ollie's been, really tied up in this, this new fling. He's been this new lady in his life, so he's been neglecting his ward, Speedy. And the dope fiends give him the location of the dope, the main dope smugglers, heroin smugglers, and they take them there, and they're like, "Okay, yeah, we'll help you out, and we'll play along, get you guys in there." All right. And they get in, and they get double crossed by the dope fiends, of course. And they get knocked out. A couple of badass superheroes get knocked out by a fucking crescent wrench. And the plan of the drug smugglers is to shoot the dope into Green Lantern and Green Arrow, and get them addicted, basically, and get them fucked up, and dump them out where some cops will be very soon, and that they'll get arrested and their credibility will be shot. So even if they did go and talk to the police, that they'd have no credibility because they were high in public and on heroin, basically. From there, Speedy finds them passed out and shot, high as a kite, basically, and he rescues them. He says, "Hey, Green Lantern, you need to get up. You need to help me get Ollie out of here." Green Lantern's throwed, though. He tries to use his power ring and creates this big giant monstrosity of himself, and it actually attacks them. Because he can't control his power because he's so stoned. And he finally gets enough willpower to destroy the construct that he made, and he makes a flight bubble and takes off. They get back to Ollie's apartment, and they're both, it kind of shows them like they're tripping real hard on this dope, and Speedy's trying to help them out, getting them some coffee and, sobering them up a little bit. And Ollie's, talking to Green Lantern, and they're like, "Man, who would do this kind of stuff, knowing, shooting death into their veins and, and just straight poison." And this is the really, Speedy trying to reach out to him. And he's saying, "Say a young cat has someone he respects, looks up to, an older man. And say that older man leaves and chases around the country, gets involved with others, and ignores his young friend. Then the guy might need a substitute for his friendship. And he might seek it in junk." Which, so he started, doing heroin. Because he's, feeling neglected. And it goes from there, and it shows Green Lantern and Ollie are talking some more, and he shows him to the door, and Green Lantern's, and Green Arrow's like, "Hey, do you need me to help you get home?" Blah blah blah. And Green Lantern's like, "No, I'm fine," and he takes off. Green Arrow stumbles back inside, and he's still feeling the effects. It's obvious, you can kind of tell in the pictures here. On top of being shot with an arrow, he's also been drugged now. So he sees the door open to Speedy's apartment, and he goes back, and he's like, to find a very shocking scene, and he's like, "Oh dear God, you're on drugs. You really are a junkie." And it's that classic picture. And he's like, "Who else did you think I was talking about?" And it's very sad. And they say it doesn't end yet. It can't. The next issue, it must shatter the conclusion, most shattering conclusion ever. But this was a very tough subject that they kind of touched on. When this book came out, what was it? Early 70s. I know heroin was a real big epidemic at that time. Even more so now, heroin and opiate addiction and everything. And I myself was a victim of it. A self-made victim, I'll give you that. I wasn't drugged and turned into a junkie. I actually was a very troubled youth at one point, and I had problems, and I tried to search out something that would help me, and I found I got involved with the wrong people and got involved with the wrong things, and I regretted it ever since. And it took me, oh God, how many years to finally break free of it. But I'm sober now. I'm sober today, and I thank God every day that I am. Because it was a very sad life. If I thought, I've lost no telling how many comic book collections due to it, and I've lost no telling how many hundreds, thousands and thousands of dollars due to it, and how many relationships were affected by it and destroyed, bridges burnt, opportunities lost. It is extremely destructive lifestyle that I beg people and implore people that to stay away from that drug, because it is straight from the devil himself. But like I said, I don't drink. Well, I actually had a drink about a week ago. My wife still drinks, and I actually went to my one of my comic book friend Eric's party, and I had a beer, a few beers while I was there. But I don't drink hard alcohol no more, and I don't do drugs, and I'm proud to say that, because I did not want my parents to bury me, and I didn't want them to see me still strung out while if I have to lay one of them to rest. Me and my wife are, we have our small business. We're, we build custom garage doors, and we have the wood shop here that I'm actually doing this video in. And I'm sorry about all the background noise. Like I said, I wanted to let the natural light in today, and my bay door is right there on the street, and you hear the goddamn traffic. But, normal cars are okay when they drive by, but that motherfucker with that motorcycle that lives up the street, I fucking hate that guy. He's such a dickhead. He revs that fucking motorcycle, and it's just needless. It's like, I understand, you can put, this is a fucking neighborhood, you rattle all the fucking windows with that fucking motorcycle. And I don't mean to sound like a fucking old fucking kook or nothing, but it's very obnoxious, that's all I'm going to say. But, got my coffee here. My wife made it for me. It's very good. Very good, very good. Later on today, I'm going to be going to my LCS and picking up some books. Took a picture of that and put it on Twitter not too long ago. I am on Twitter. I go under, my name is ComicsDown, and then Cody Scott. So I'm very easy to find on Twitter. I don't really Facebook or anything because the goddamn government's always fucking watching, I guess. But I don't really fuck with that thing no more. But I'm gonna do the outro and get on down the road and go get some work done. Subscribe, like, leave a comment if you want. Don't forget to hit the bell. Someday I'm gonna get a Patreon going to kind of offset some of the money I spend. If you guys like my stuff eventually, and I know it's very low grade right now, and I'm gonna get me an editing program so I can, and maybe a better camera and stuff eventually. But like I said, I'm not trying to do this professionally. I have a small business that I go and work at every day, and I have a job. But I just want to really just show my love of comics. I want to show new things to people, and kind of give my little opinion on it as much as that's worth. But these were some of my favorite stories, and I'm gonna keep doing some more of these like this. Keep showing some of the comics that I just absolutely love and adore. And yeah. And once again, heroes, I'm Cody, and this is ComicsDown, and I hope you have a lovely, blessed day. Thank you.